Here we are at Historic Aviation Services in Wetaskiwin, and this is the famous Hawker Hurricane. We are restoring one of our 2 aircraft for the Calgary Mosquito Society.
Hawker Company had been building fighter planes since World War I, actually, all biplane fighters, and they had settled on a construction technique that was essentially tube steel for the fuselage. As they went into monoplane fighters, something far more modern, they maintained the same construction techniques.
To give it that unique shape that you readily identify with the Hawker Hurricane, everything from the firewall back to the fin and horizontal stabilizer is actually built up of wooden formers and stringers, components to give it a distinctive shape, and then the airplane is covered with fabric.
If you look at this airplane, it is easy for maintenance because it's a tubular section and it can be replaced in the field by a mechanic.
The Hurricane was far easier to repair than the Spitfire, for example. The Spitfire had a stress skin monocoque construction for the most part, and an explosive shell going through a Spitfire fuselage could literally, write the airplane off. Depending on how and where it hit on a Hurricane, the thing would enter one piece of fabric and go out with a piece of fabric on the other side, and the guys would, glue a little fabric patch over the holes on each side, and away you'd go. So far better to absorb battle damage, the Hurricane, than some of the later airplanes.
The very first Hurricane was powered by a Rolls-Royce Merlin, as they all were throughout their production. But one of the interesting things was the way in which its engine developed. It started out at just over 1,000 horsepower prior to World War II. By the end of World War II, it was putting out over 1,700 horsepower. And of course, that gives you a tremendous advantage in speed, your ability to climb.
The landing gear is large, it is sturdy. There's a lot of space between the legs. A pilot can land or take off easily with this, as opposed to, let's say, the famous Spitfire.
Because of the way it was constructed, it could stand lots of punishment and it could be fixed relatively easily.
Here we see the wings of the Hawker Hurricane, and they are made of stress skin metal, aluminum. But at the beginning, the first version of the Hawker Hurricane had fabric outer wing panels, and the fuselage also was covered with fabric. When they added the metal, it gave more speed to the Hurricane, especially in the dive. What's important to notice also is the armament. And if you look here, we can see the ejection chutes for the spent casing. So the British Hawker Hurricane was designed to have 8 .303 caliber machine guns. The Canadian version added 2 more for coastal defense. So this is a difference between Canadian-built and British-built Hurricanes. Ours had 12 machine guns in total.
Tremendously versatile. They put all sorts of weapons on it.
Pound for pound, they punched 2 levels above their weight category all the way through the Battle of Britain. Arguably, that, with some assistance from the Spitfire and a few others, saved the Empire. They were there when you needed it. It's a heroic bird. It really is.